Maya checked her reflection in the vanity mirror one last time. Her sister Grace's 10th wedding anniversary party was in full swing down the marble hallway. Laughter and clinking glasses floated through the open double doors. She hated being here. Grace's perfect life was a mirror of everything Maya had lost. Divorced for 3 years, still nursing a bruised heart, Maya felt like an intruder in her own family. Inside, the grand ballroom glowed under gilded chandeliers. Guests in tuxedos and evening gowns threaded between dessert tables. Maya spotted Grace at the head of the table, radiant in a sapphire dress that matched her eyes. Grace caught her gaze and waved, lips curved in a practiced smile. Maya forced one back, then drifted into the crowd. Adrian stood by the bar, adjusting his cufflinks. He looked impossibly handsome in black tie, his dark hair glinting under the lights. The last person Maya wanted to see. Ever since her divorce, she'd avoided him, her one-night mistake that had become a scandalous secret. She turned to slip past, but a warm hand touched her arm. "Hey, Maya." His voice was low, familiar, and maddening. "You look stunning tonight." She froze. Her pulse hammered. "Thanks," she whispered, stepping away. He caught her elbow, guiding her toward the bar. "Can I get you a drink?" Maya hesitated. Logic screamed no. Grace's husband offered a drink, but something in his dark gaze made her heart stutter. She nodded. At the bar, he ordered 2 glasses of red wine. He handed one to her with a smile that hinted at danger. Maya raised it to her lips. The first sip burned like liquid velvet. "You're quiet," he observed. "Everything okay?" She forced a laugh, just overwhelmed by how fancy this is. He leaned in. "I remember when this place was just a back alley bar." His voice dropped. "You always did like to dive." Her breath hitched. Memories flashed, their brief fling, the passion, the betrayal, the regret, then the guilt. "That was a mistake," she murmured. He reached for her hand. "Maybe for you," he whispered, "but not for me." His thumb brushed her skin. Her world tilted. A surge of recklessness took over. "Adrian." He smiled, eyes glinting. "Let me show you a good time tonight." Behind them, Grace's laughter rang out, too calm, too sweet. Maya's heart thundered. She lifted her glass. "To old memories," she said, clinking his. "Cheers," he echoed, and their eyes locked. In that moment, the anniversary celebration faded away. There was only Maya, trembling, and Adrian, offering her the darkness she'd fought so hard to escape. A distant clock chimed midnight. Grace raised her glass in a toast. Maya looked to the head table, then back to Adrian. He smiled and raised his own glass, just for her. That was the last clear moment Maya remembered. The next, she'd awaken elsewhere, naked, confused, and watched. Maya's eyes blinked open to bright hotel room light. Panic flooded her. The sheets were white silk, the pillows plump. The room smelled faintly of lavender and something else. Rising on her elbows, she realized she was naked. Her chest tightened. She felt violated. A glass door led to a marble bathroom. Through its frosted panel, steam drifted. Light footsteps approached. A man's silhouette appeared behind the glass. Broad shoulders, familiar posture. Maya's heart lurched. The door slid open. Adrian stepped out. Hair damp, towel at his waist. His chest was bare. Rippled muscle and dark hair. A single drop of water traced his collarbone. He smiled, as if greeting an old friend. "Morning," he said, voice smooth as silk. "Sleep well." Maya's throat closed. She scrambled to cover herself with the sheet. Where am I? How did I get here?" He leaned against the doorframe. "You passed out at the party. I brought you here." Her mind raced. She remembered the wine, his hand, their toast. Then nothing. "No," she said shakily. I wouldn't." He shrugged. "You wanted it. Remember?" His smile broadened. "You begged me not to leave you." Maya stared at him, fear and shame warring in her eyes. "I never." He held up a hand. "Shoo, just relax." He crossed to the minibar and poured coffee into 2 glasses. He handed her one. "Black, just how you like it." She took the glass, lips trembling. The coffee was strong, bitter. As she sipped, She noticed her lipstick smeared on the rim, deep crimson on white crystal. She stared at the stain. She didn't wear red lipstick. "You look good," he said, sliding onto the edge of the bed. "Really good." His gaze wandered over her. "I've thought about last night all week." Tears sprang unbidden to Maya's eyes. "Please," she whispered, "tell me none of this happened." He reached out and tucked a stray lock of hair behind her ear. "It happened," he said softly. "You were amazing." She shook her head. "No memories." "None." He tilted his head. "Funny, you're so articulate now." He tapped his temple. "You were drunk. Scared. But you knew what you wanted." She trembled. "I want to leave." He sighed and stood. "Okay." He moved to the door. "You can get dressed." As she slid off the bed, her bare feet touched cool marble. She spotted clothes draped over a chair, a silk camisole, tailored trousers that definitely weren't hers. She hesitated, then pulled on the garments, each piece perfectly fitted. He opened the door. Valets waiting downstairs. His eyes were gentle, almost kind. "I can drop you at home." She nodded, voice barely a whisper. "Thank you." He paused. "Just remember, you came here with me." Maya swallowed hard. He was right. Some part of her had. But she couldn't remember. The ride back was silent. She stared out the tinted window as the city lights blurred. By the time they reached her apartment, tears had dried on her cheeks, replaced by icy determination. Adrian helped her out of the car. "Call me," he said quietly. She nodded numbly. He drove off into the night, leaving Maya alone on the curb. She stepped onto the sidewalk and stared at her reflection in the building's glass doors. Her face looked back, haggard, confused. Somewhere in the tangle of memory and regret, she knew one thing for certain. Last night wasn't just about wine and laughter. It was a trap, and she had fallen right into it. Maya's apartment was dark except for the glow of her phone. She swiped through her recent calls. No trace of Adrian's number. She tapped messages. Empty. No texts. No group chats. Her last conversation with Kelsey, deleted. Panicked, she opened Instagram. The feed loaded, but her DMs were blank. She tapped on archive. Nothing. Her pictures with Grace, with friends, with herself, gone. She bit her lip. She hadn't deleted them. Her fingers shook as she checked the Photos app. The camera roll displayed nothing newer than yesterday morning. No mirror selfies from the party. No photos of her in that silk camisole. She staggered back. What the hell happened? Her phone buzzed. A notification. System error, recovering storage. She tapped it, but the screen froze. She threw the phone onto the couch. She grabbed her laptop from the coffee table. Powered it on. The login screen stared back. She typed her password. Nothing happened. She tried again. Still nothing. She pressed and held the power button until it shut off. Then rebooted. In the chaos of slow-loading bars, she felt sick. Whoever had done this had erased every digital trace of her night. It was too precise to be an accident. The screen flickered back to life. She opened her email. No new messages. Except one in the spam folder from an unknown sender. Subject, our night together. Her breath caught. She opened it. Inside was a single link, a low-resolution video thumbnail of the hotel room ceiling. No timestamp. No sound. Just a rotating camera, peeking down. Her hands flew to her mouth. She clicked. The video opened. Grainy footage showed someone moving in bed. Bare feet. A hand adjusting sheets. Then Maya's hair, spread like a dark halo on crisp pillowcases. She gasped and looked away. A notification pinged. Adrian's phone, on speaker somewhere in the room. You ready? A blurred figure, his back, leaned in. Maya watched in horror. The camera view shuddered. The video ended. Her knees buckled. She stumbled to the sofa and sank down. Tears pricked her eyes. Shame and fear tangled in her chest. She felt like prey, exposed under the cold glass eye of a camera. Kelsey's name flashed in her mind. She picked up the phone and dialed. Ringing. Ringing. Straight to voicemail. She left a message. Kelsey, it's me. Call me back. It's urgent. She ran to the window and pulled aside the curtain. The street below was empty. No taxis idling. No late-night stragglers. Just the hum of neon lights. A text popped up. Unknown number. Everyone's watching, Maya. Enjoy the fame. Her blood ran cold. Fame. Mocking. Cruel. She dropped her phone and pressed her face against the cool glass. The city swirled beneath her. She thought of Grace and the terrible truth she suspected. Adrian had planned this all along. A buzz at the doorbell made her jump. She peered through the peephole. No one there. She backed away, and the doorbell rang again, persistent. She crept to the door and looked through the spy-hole. A flash drive lay on the welcome mat, next to a single red rose. Her heart thundered. With trembling fingers, she opened the door and picked up the drive. There was no note. Just her name scrawled on the plastic case. She stared at it, mind racing. Inside lay her key to the past night's secrets, or her last tether to sanity. She'd have to plug it in, because if she didn't, the world would never let her forget. The cafe smelled of roasted beans and vanilla syrup. Maya sank into a booth opposite Grace, clutching the flash drive like a lifeline. Grace's calm smile did nothing to soothe her. You look terrible. Grace sipped her latte, eyes steady. What happened? Maya slid the drive across the table. Watch this. Grace's brow furrowed. She plugged it into her laptop. The screen glowed as folders appeared. Women. Recordings. Finished. Grace clicked Finished. A file labeled MAY_final.mp4 hovered. Maya covered her face as the video played. It showed her unconscious, on a bed. A figure hovered, camera in hand. Soft whispering. Then footsteps. Then nothing. Grace's jaw tightened. She closed the laptop. I'm so sorry, Maya. Maya's eyes brimmed. Why me? Why my sister's husband? Grace reached across and took her hand. It's never been about you. Her voice trembled. It's about him. Maya pulled away. Grace, I'm a mess. People saw that video. Grace's gaze hardened. You didn't post it. He did. It's his control freak compulsion. Not yours. Maya exhaled. Control, he's obsessed with it. Grace nodded. He's done this before. Maya stared. What do you mean? Grace wiped her latte-damp fingers on a napkin. Before me, She shook her head. I didn't want to believe it. Maya's heart pounded. Tell me. Grace took a breath. When we were engaged, he dated another woman, Kelsey. She got pregnant. Maya blinked. Kelsey? But she never mentioned. She disappeared. Grace said. No one saw her again. Maya's blood ran cold. You think? Grace's eyes glistened. He said she had an accident. She leaned forward. He blackmailed her into silence and made sure no records remained. Maya felt bile rise. He's a monster. Grace closed her eyes. He built this family empire on surveillance and secrets. He marries into money, then traps you. Maya's hand shook. So that video, it's just another weapon. Grace nodded. He filmed you because he can. Then he showed it because he wanted you punished. Maya swallowed hard. I have to fight back. Grace's expression softened. We will. Together. Maya felt a spark of hope. What do we do? Grace reached into her purse and produced a small syringe, Kelsey's leftover blood sample. This proves drugging. Maya stared. You kept this. Grace tucked it away. I sampled it after my wedding toast. I saw him spike my drink. Maya's jaw dropped. Grace. Grace's smile turned fierce. He thought you were a mistake. But he was wrong. You're our leverage now. Maya nodded, determination lighting her eyes. We expose him. Grace stood and grabbed her bag. First, get you cleared at work. Maya rose, wobbly. How? Grace's lips curved. We leak the video, with context. Show the drugging. Show his patterns. He won't see it coming. Maya's pulse raced. He'll retaliate. Grace slipped an arm around her shoulders. Let him. It'll be on record. He can't cover it up twice. Maya exhaled, grit settling in her chest. For the first time since the party, she felt in control. They walked out into the glowing afternoon, sisters united against the darkness their husband shared. And Maya knew she'd never be a victim again. Maya lay in her bathtub that night, hot water lapping her skin. Steam curled in the air. She stared at the bathroom mirror, tracing dark circles beneath her eyes. Sleep eluded her. Her mind replayed the party, the laughter, the wine, Adrian's smile. But fragments didn't fit together. Had she blacked out? Or had he orchestrated every moment? She turned off the tap and wrapped a towel around herself. In the living room, her phone glowed with messages from Kelsey. Missed calls, urgent texts. She tapped call back. The line rang once, twice, then clicked. Kels. Maya's voice trembled. Kels. Kelsey. Silence. Then a voice, raspy, guarded. Maya. Where are you? Maya sat up. I can't talk long. The line crackled. He's on to me. Maya's pulse thundered. He knows we have the video. No, Kelsey's voice trembled. But I sensed someone following me. Maya stood. Come to Grace's house. I'll pick you up. Okay. Kelsey hung up. The call ended. Maya grabbed her keys and jacket. In the hallway mirror, she caught her reflection. Determination etched on her face. She headed out. The street was quiet, bathed in yellow lamplight. She unlocked her car and slid behind the wheel. She dialed Grace. Straight to voicemail. She sent a quick text. Where are you? No reply. Maya's chest tightened. She sped to Grace's house. The driveway was empty. The lights inside were off. Her heart thudded. She got out and walked to the door. It was unlocked. She flipped on the porch light and stepped inside. The living room was immaculate. No sign of struggle. On the coffee table sat Grace's laptop, screen open. An email draft was visible. Subject: for HR, evidence.zip attachment. But the attachment was missing. Maya's eyes darted around. Grace, she whispered. No answer. She clicked through the laptop. Folders empty. The flash drive was gone. The blood sample syringe gone. A chill raced down her spine. She backed away, heart pounding. She heard a creak upstairs. Footsteps. Who's there? Maya called, voice shaking. Silence. Then a door slammed. Maya bolted up the stairs 2 at a time. She reached the hallway and saw Grace's bedroom door ajar. Light spilled out. She pushed it open. Grace stood by the window, silhouette tense. She turned. Maya, she said, relief and fear mingling in her eyes. Maya ran forward. Where's Kelsey? Grace wrapped her arms around Maya. She's safe. Maya stepped back. And the drive. Grace closed her eyes. I hit it. Maya's brow furrowed. Where? Grace opened her purse and held up a lipstick tube, bright red, in plain sight. She clicked the cap off. Push. Maya watched as Grace depressed the base. A small USB connector slid out. Maya grabbed it. Grace exhaled. He searched everywhere for that drive. Never saw this coming. Maya's eyes shone. Let's get Kelsey. They raced outside. The night air was cool. As they drove away, Grace glanced in the rearview mirror. He knows now. Maya's jaw set. Good. Grace nodded. Because tomorrow the world will. And Maya, gripping the hidden drive, felt the first true surge of victory. They were ready. The trap was set, and Adrian's empire would crumble. Maya burst into her apartment, her coat damp from the rain. The hallway light gleamed off the polished wooden floor as she dragged herself inside. She shrugged off her coat, dropped it on the stand, and headed to the living room. Something in her pocket felt strange, a weight. She paused, heart pounding, and slipped a hand inside her coat lining. Her fingertips closed around a smooth, cold circle. She pulled out a gold band, her wedding ring, the one she'd abandoned years ago when Adrian's lies came to light. It lay in her palm, scratches dulling its sparkle. Maya's breath caught. She stared at it as memories flooded. The day he slid it on her finger, promises whispered beneath the cathedral ceiling, her father's proud nod. How had he retrieved it? Why had he returned it? Her phone buzzed on the coffee table. Maya's heart thundered. She answered. Adrian. His voice was calm, almost gentle. Did you find something? She held the ring up to the camera. This. Mine. How did you get it back? He chuckled. You gave it back to me. Her chest tightened. I never, after everything you did. You didn't deserve it. He sounded amused. I thought you missed it. Maya sank onto the edge of the couch, ring held between thumb and forefinger. The room was silent except for the hum of the refrigerator and the distant rumble of thunder. Rain pattered against the window. She noticed the framed photo of her and Grace at their graduation, both beaming. That girl in the sunshine felt like a stranger. Tell me the truth. Maya pressed. Why send it back? Adrian paused. You said it made you feel safe, he murmured. Her breath hitched. She closed her eyes and remembered whispering that line. Your ring makes me feel safe. She'd meant it then. But safety from him? No. He was the one who shattered everything. She stood and stalked to the kitchenette. She poured a steaming cup of coffee, black, and stared down at the dark liquid. The ring glinted in the cup's reflection. She picked it up and dropped it onto the countertop. It skittered, catching a ripple of light under the pendant light. Her hand shook as she sipped. Memories of divorce hearings, attorney's fees, solitary nights flashed. Adrian's betrayal had cost her more than love. It stole her trust, her confidence. On the coffee table lay Grace's USB drive. She pushed it aside, but her fingers lingered on its cool plastic. Adrian had returned the ring and stolen everything else. Her files, her messages, her reputation. This ring was another breadcrumb, another demonstration of control. She crumpled the ring in her fist. This ends now, she whispered. She placed it on a napkin and pressed the brochure page from the legal defense nonprofit Grace wanted to start. The ring lay atop the leaflet, incongruous and taunting. Her phone crackled. Adrian again. She hesitated before answering. Resolved, she tapped decline. She grabbed the ring and slipped it onto a chain around her neck. It rested against her collarbone, like a witness to her pain. The gold no longer symbolized love or trust. It was evidence of deception. Maya straightened, shoulders squared resolutely. Outside, the storm raged, but inside her chest, determination bloomed. She would gather every piece of evidence, every ring, video, message, to take him down, because he'd once said it made her feel safe. And now, she'd use it to protect herself. You said it made you feel safe. Maya closed her eyes, letting the words echo. Safety would be hers at last. Maya stared at her phone screen, heart pounding as she scrolled through Twitter. A trending hashtag glowed in crimson letters. Hashtag Maya Exposed. The first tweet was from an anonymous account. It linked to YouTube with the title Caught in Bed, Maya Uncovered. She tapped it before thinking. The video opened. Grainy footage showed the hotel bedroom ceiling, splintered through fisheye distortion. A tripod-mounted camera captured a slow circular pan. It stopped on a figure under the sheets, long dark hair splayed on crisp white linen. The camera jerked, revealing Maya's face in close-up, eyes closed, lips parted in vulnerable repose. She looked exposed, raw, and utterly defenseless. But Adrian's face never appeared. A sense of dread sank in her chest. She watched until the clip ended abruptly. No credits, no timestamp. Just Maya's sleeping face, bathed in dim light. She swiped to comment, but the keyboard wouldn't load. The video description read, "You thought no one would see. Enjoy." Below, hundreds of comments streamed in real time. Maya is a homewrecker. Who is that man filming her? Did she know the camera was there? Hashtag MeToo. Maya's breath caught. They were blaming her. They didn't know it had been him all along. She tapped the share button, her finger trembling, but stopped. She couldn't amplify this nightmare. She needed a plan. Her phone buzzed again, a direct message notification. She opened it. A single line. This is just the beginning. The sender's profile showed a pixelated avatar and no other clue. A cold shiver ran along her spine. She staggered back and leaned against the wall. The wallpaper's floral pattern seemed to swirl as the room tilted. She closed her eyes and tried to breathe. Memories flickered. The flash drive, Grace's warning, Kelsey's terrified whispers. Everything was a puzzle designed by Adrian. She grabbed her phone and dialed Grace. Ringing. Straight to voicemail. She left a voicemail. "Grace, it's on YouTube. I need you. Please call me." Then she sat on the edge of her bed, phone clutched to her chest. Minutes later, her email chimed. New messages from co-worker group chats, including HR. "Have you seen this? Are you okay? We need to talk." Maya's stomach dropped. She realized that at this moment, her career, her reputation, and her secrets were unraveling. She slid her feet to the floor and stood, legs trembling. She opened Instagram. The video had been reposted 10 times. Each version had more views than her entire feed. She scrolled past filters and face tags. The reality hit like a punch. She was going viral, but not in a good way. She shoved past the urge to delete all her accounts. That would only make it worse. She sprinted down 3 flights of stairs and hailed a taxi. She needed Grace, needed someone who believed her truth. The cab weaved through damp streets, neon reflections dancing across rain-slick pavement. Inside, her reflection in the window was a ghost, wide-eyed, tear-streaked. Back in her apartment, she slammed the door and leaned against it. She inhaled, sweat prickling at her hairline. She mouthed the question she'd scrawled on a note earlier. "Who's recording this?" She pressed the note to her lips as if seeking an answer. Her phone buzzed again. Someone tagged her screenshot, fueling the frenzy. She opened her eyes, shoulders shaking, and stared into the dark room as if waiting for a reply. "Who's recording this?" Maya whispered, voice trembling. Maya arrived at the office just after 8, chest tight with dread. She'd barely slept, coffee keeping her awake. Her blazer felt heavy on her shoulders. She checked her reflection in the lobby mirror, pale lips, dark circles, before brushing past the receptionist with a stiff nod. At her cubicle, she sat and booted up her computer, every click echoing. The usual white desktop wallpaper was replaced by the blinking inbox icon. A new message flagged urgent. The subject line read, "Forward to HR immediately." Attached was a link to the YouTube video of her sleeping. Below, a terse note. "You need to see this. HR." No signature. Her heart thundered. She closed the office door she rarely used and dialed HR. The line connected. "I'm calling because I just received." Her voice quavered. "A video of me. I'm not sure what to do." Karen from HR responded in a calm, professional tone. "Please come to my office. Now." A brief click ended the call. Walking the gray cubicle maze, Maya forced herself to breathe. The hum of computers, rustle of papers, and distant ringing phones felt surreal. Co-workers glanced up as she passed. Whispers trailed behind her like ghosts. "Is that her in the video?" "I heard HR is investigating." She gripped her armrests, forcing herself not to run. In Karen's office, sunlight filtered through blinds onto a polished mahogany desk. 2 HR representatives and the legal counsel had joined. Their notepads were ready. "Maya, thank you for coming," Karen began. "We've received a tip about a video circulating online. We understand you may be a victim, but we must follow protocol." Maya's throat tightened. "Protocol?" Karen opened a file. "We have a forwarded link to a public site. Our legal team is reviewing it. We need to suspend your access pending investigation." She swallowed. "Suspend my access? You can't be serious. This video was malicious." An HR rep held up a hand. "Company policy requires suspension in such circumstances." Maya forced herself to remain calm. She touched the chain around her neck, the ring resting over her heart. "I have evidence to prove my drink was spiked. I can provide test results." Legal counsel glanced at his laptop. "We will review that. But until then, your leave is necessary." Maya nodded, tears prickling. "Fine," she whispered. "When will I know?" Karen cleared her throat. "We'll be in touch by tomorrow afternoon. Please submit any documents you have." Maya stood and left. The hallway seemed endless, the carpet gray like ash. She stepped into the elevator, its doors closing with a soft ding. Every step away from the HR office echoed in her mind, as if each click of her heels on the floor marked the end of one life. At home, Maya collapsed onto her bed, face down on a pristine white pillow. She wrapped her arms around it and screamed, muffled but full of rage, grief, and helplessness. Her pillow absorbed her tears, while rain pattered against the window. Then her phone rang. Grace. Maya froze, mouth pressed into the pillow. Her body trembled. And somewhere in that night, she realized that losing her job was only the beginning. Maya arrived at their favorite corner cafe just after sunrise. The bell above the door jingled as she entered, and the rich aroma of freshly ground beans enveloped her. Morning light filtered through tall windows, casting warm rectangles on dark oak tables. She spotted Grace at a small table by the window, her posture composed, a steaming latte cradled between her fingers. Grace looked up, offering a reassuring smile. "Thanks for coming," she said softly. Maya slid into the seat opposite, heart hammering. "I saw everything," she whispered. Grace nodded and placed her mug down. "You're not the only one." She reached into her purse and set a silver flash drive on the table. Maya's breath caught. "What is this?" Grace traced the drive's metal casing. "Evidence. Plug it in." Maya pulled her laptop from her bag with nervous fingers. The cafe chatter and clattering cups faded as she connected the drive. A folder appeared, recordings. She clicked it. The entry spanned years, each file named after a woman and a date. She opened the first, 2019_Laura.mp4. Through her headphones, she saw Adrian leaning close to a startled woman in a dim bar. She accepted his drink, then slumped, eyes fluttering closed. Panic and shame coiled inside Maya. Grace watched her face. "That's Laura." She pointed to the next file, 2020_Tanya.mp4. Adrian guided Tanya into his car. He whispered in her ear, and she winced, slumping against him. Maya's stomach churned. "How many are there?" Grace swallowed. 10. Every encounter. Maya scrolled and located the last file, MAY_final.mp4. She held her breath as the video rolled. The camera panned across an unmade bed, settled on her, eyes shut, skin pale, then cut to black. Each second burned into her memory. Maya leaned back, her latte now stone cold, tasting bitterness she could never wash away. She closed her eyes, recalling the ping of Adrian's name on her phone during work. Urgent messages, secret rendezvous. Those pings had been strings on his puppet. Now they were evidence of his cruelty. She reopened the drive and scrolled through the timeline of files. "We need a dossier," she said, voice firm. "Dates, locations, names. We build a case he can't escape." Grace nodded, bringing up her notes on her phone. "I've contacted some of the women. A few are too scared to come forward. We will protect them." Maya reached across and squeezed Grace's hand. "Thank you for never giving up on finding this." Grace offered a small, determined smile. They glanced around the cafe. Morning commuters texting, students cramming, baristas grinding coffee. None suspected the storm brewing at that table. Grace closed the laptop with a decisive click. "Now we move." They gathered their laptops and mugs, shoulders brushing as they stood. Two sisters bound by betrayal and purpose. Determined and unafraid, they stepped out into the morning air. They paid the bill, eyes meeting in solidarity before stepping back into a world that would never forget. Grace closed the laptop. "He's been filming everything." Maya returned to her apartment, the flash drive burning in her pocket. Rain had started again, sheets of water bouncing off the pavement. She locked the door behind her, heart pounding with a mixture of dread and resolve. The laptop sat on her coffee table, closed but humming faintly from earlier. She opened it and plugged the drive in. A new folder appeared, victims. Inside were 10 subfolders, each labeled with a woman's name. Next to them, a separate folder caught her eye. Unknown_2017. She clicked the first folder, Laura. The familiar footage opened automatically. Watching the bar scene with Laura on loop felt like watching a tragedy in slow motion. Each woman's fear, confusion, betrayal played out on screen. Maya moved methodically through the files. Tanya in a hotel lobby, Nina in an office, Olivia in a corporate event restroom. Each video had the same pattern, a seductive approach, a drug-laced drink, restless movement in a shadowy bedroom. Then the camera held steady on a face, blank, unconscious. She noticed something new in the corner of several frames. A bloodstain on a bedsheet, a bruise forming on an arm, the sheen of tears. These clips lasted longer, capturing groans and whispers, as if Adrian wanted not just footage, but proof of his victim's vulnerability. Then she opened the folder named unknown_2017. The file name was Zoe_final.mp4. The video started with a woman's silhouette pacing in a dim hallway. Her back was to the camera. The grainy image shifted as she turned toward a closed door. She paused, hand trembling on the doorknob. The camera tracked her slow steps. Suddenly, the footage cut to a still frame. A bloodied body slumped on a hotel room floor, legs sprawled across the floral carpet. No audio, just the harsh gaze of the lens. Maya's breath caught in her throat. She stared at the motionless form, heart pounding. This was no blackout seduction. This was evidence of violence. Her legs gave out. She sank to the floor, laptop balanced on her knees. Tears blurred her vision as she realized Adrian's depravity. He hadn't stopped at humiliation. He had taken lives. Her fist clenched the edge of the table. She pushed herself up and stared at the screen. The video list flickered, 10 women and 1 body. At the very bottom was the file she dreaded. may_final.mp4. She hesitated, fingers trembling. With a deep breath, she clicked it. The footage was brief. A shot of her pale face, eyes shut, hair tangled. The camera lingered on her, unmoving, then cut to black. Silence. Maya pressed her palms into her eyes, feeling the heat of tears. When she opened them, she knew what she had to do. Each file was a call for justice. She retrieved phone and dialed Grace. "I found her," she said, voice steady. "We both know what comes next." Grace answered, "Yes, sister." She called Kelsey to offer support. Maya packed the drive, ring necklace glinting in dim light. She slipped on her coat and stepped into the hallway, determined. With each step toward justice, she felt her power return. Outside, thunder rolled. Inside, Maya prepared to bring every secret to light. Now, a still frame of Maya, unconscious. Grace led Maya into her study, a narrow room lined with mahogany shelves, each packed with ledgers, legal briefs, and photo albums. A single desk lamp cast a warm pool of light over a polished glass-top table. Grace pressed a button on the desk's edge. A built-in laptop popped up. Maya perched on the edge of a leather chair, heart pounding. "Everything you need to know is here," Grace said softly, opening a folder labeled cleared_records. She clicked Project Unity Settlement. A redacted PDF appeared. Details of Adrian's NDA agreements with former partners, hush money payments, asset transfers. Each entry had dates, amounts, and women's initials, T.L.N. Maya recognized them from the flash drive. Grace scrolled. "He used corporate funds, your family's funds, to pay off anyone who knew too much. When I discovered it, he threatened to expose my father's business if I spoke up." Her voice trembled. "That's why our wedding was a lie. I married him to stop him from destroying everything." Maya's breathing hitched. "You knew all along." Grace nodded, eyes glistening. "I tried to find evidence. Every time I got close, something vanished, files deleted, recordings wiped. I thought I was losing my mind." Maya's chest tightened. "He gaslights. He isolates." Grace tapped the laptop. "I had him followed. Surveillance footage showed him meeting with hushed lawyers, signing documents in shadows." She flipped the screen around. "Here, 2018. He's handing an envelope to a private investigator. Same year Laura disappeared." Maya studied the still frame. Adrian's profile stern, the PI's face obscured. He builds his marriage on fear of exposure. Grace closed her eyes. "I lived it. Every day, walking on eggshells. My smiles, my obedience. It wasn't love. It was strategy." Maya reached out. "We'll end this." Grace shook her head. "Not with lawsuits alone. He's got allies, board members on his payroll, media bought and paid for. He can smear us both." Maya's gaze hardened. "Then we take the power back." Grace raised an eyebrow. "How?" Maya lifted the USB drive. "Evidence for HR, Evidence for the police. Testimony from Kelsey, from the ex-wife, from any woman left. Grace's lips curved. We could grant immunity to first responders. Women who testify first get protection. Maya nodded, excitement stirring. And the rest? Public trial. Charitable foundations withdrawing support. Social media blitz. #expose Adrian. Grace tapped a file, strategy_plan.docs. I drafted a campaign. Phased release of evidence. Coordinated press. Victim support group. We're not just accusing him. We're championing the women. Maya leaned forward. We turn his tools against him. His own blackmail network. Grace exhaled. The final piece is the physical evidence, his office safe. Maya's eyes widened. His study at home. Grace nodded. I have the vault code. He never changed it from our wedding anniversary. She whispered the 4 digits. Maya's pulse raced. We get the encrypted drive from his computer. That will reveal names we don't yet know. Maya stood, determination blazing. Then we strike. Grace closed the laptop. Yes, but carefully. He's dangerous. Maya clasped her sister's hands. We'll watch each other's backs. Thunder rumbled outside. Inside, 2 sisters, once rival bridesmaids, now allies in a war for justice. Grace switched off the desk lamp. The study fell to shadow. Maya rose, resolved. The next morning, they would begin turning fear into triumph. Maya sat across from Dr. E's in a sterile clinic room, fluorescent lights humming overhead. The walls were painted pale blue, and a single chart hung beside a laminated blood test reference. Grace hovered by her side, arms folded. Dr. E's adjusted his glasses, scanning the printout. The toxicology shows benzodiazepines, a class of sedatives, at concentrations consistent with the deliberate dose. He tapped the paper. You ingested between 5 and 10 milligrams. That level would cause confusion, memory loss, and unconsciousness. It's not normal alcohol interaction. Maya swallowed, voice trembling. So, I was drugged. Dr. E's nodded gravely. Someone spiked your drink. Grace exhaled. We suspected as much. Dr. E's printed additional reports, metabolite breakdown, half-life estimates. He slid them across the table. These results are time-stamped. Approximately 1:05 a.m., the time your blackout began. Maya closed her eyes, remembering the wine glass Adrian handed her. The way he smiled, words too soft. He did this. Dr. E's leaned forward. The report is admissible evidence. Chain of custody is intact. He tapped the folder. Keep copies. Share with authorities. Grace pocketed the documents. We will. Maya exhaled, relief mingling with rage. Thank you. She stood. In the hallway, Maya gripped Grace's arm. We have proof. Hard proof. Grace nodded, voice firm. This changes everything. No more. Maybe she drank too much. Maya's gaze sharpened. We confront him. Grace hesitated. Not yet. We use this to clear your name at work first. Maya frowned. My job is gone. Grace smiled slyly. Not for long. Later that day, Maya sat at her kitchen table, drafting an email to HR. She attached Dr. E's report, the toxicology printouts, and a succinct statement. My drink was laced without my knowledge. I will cooperate fully with any investigation. She paused, fingers hovering, then clicked send. Moments later, her phone buzzed. Your email has been received and forwarded to legal. We will expedite your case. Maya exhaled, leaning back. For the first time since the scandal began, she felt hope. Across town, Grace stood outside Adrian's home office, a black duffel bag slung over her shoulder. She'd followed him that morning to confirm the safe code, then slipped inside and retrieved his encrypted laptop. Now she waited for Maya's signal. Maya's text came, email sent. Proceed. Grace moved swiftly, keycard in hand. The door clicked open. Inside, the room was immaculate. Bookshelves, a glass desk, and a digital safe built into the wall. She entered the code. The safe door swung open to reveal a stack of files, 2 laptops, and a small hard drive emblazoned with Adrian's initials. Grace retrieved the hard drive, bagged it, and closed the safe. As she turned to leave, footsteps echoed. She froze. Adrian entered, phone pressed to his ear. Yes, I know she emailed HR. I'll handle it. Grace swallowed, clutching the duffel. He dropped the phone. His gaze landed on her. A slow smirk spread across his face. Sneaking into my office, Grace? She squared her shoulders. You spiked her drink. You filmed her. Now you'll answer for it. His smirk faltered. Bold. Grace lifted the duffel. And I have proof. He tilted his head. We'll see. Grace backed toward the door. We will. Outside, rain fell harder. Grace exhaled, racing to meet Maya. Together, they held the truth, a weapon more powerful than fear. Maya's phone buzzed relentlessly. Notifications flooded in. Journalists tagging her, friends offering support, adrenaline surging through her veins. She stared at the screen, uncertain if this moment was triumph or doom. Grace burst into Maya's apartment, soaking wet. He knows. Maya's heart seized. How? Grace tossed the duffel onto the table. He confronted me. He saw me leave his office. Maya rose, pacing. What did he say? Grace wrapped her arms around herself. He smiled. Said, You're stirring wasp's nest. Then he walked away. Maya's jaw tightened. So he's aware of the evidence. Grace nodded. He'll retaliate. Smear campaign. More videos, lawsuits. Maya exhaled. Then we must move faster. She flicked through her emails to HR. A response sat unread. Legal has accepted your evidence. Temporary reinstatement pending review. Maya's eyes lit up. They believe me. Grace grabbed her. Good. Use it. Maya opened her laptop and pulled up LinkedIn. She drafted a public post. A concise statement of facts. Her drugging. The toxicology report. HR's preliminary findings, and her intention to pursue justice. She tagged reputable legal blogs and journalists. She paused, hard hammering, then clicked post. Within seconds, the post gained traction. Comments poured in. We stand with you. Thank you for your courage. #MeTooGames. Maya's chest swelled with fierce pride. Suddenly, her phone rang. Adrian's number. She stared, then answered with a steady breath. What do you want? His voice purred. Congratulations. You've become a headline. Maya's pulse pounded. You lost. You can't stop this. He chuckled. Don't be so sure. Power is a slippery thing. She stood, fury burning. I'll see you in court. He paused. Oh, I'm not worried about court. You might want to watch your back. He hung up. Maya's nerve snapped. She slammed the laptop shut. He's threatening me. Grace steadied her. We expected it. Maya exhaled, meeting her sister's gaze. Then let's give him a real fight. They outlined next steps. Secure the witness statements. Prepare press releases. File a police report. The phone buzzed again, a news anchor's assistant requesting an interview. Maya gripped the phone. Tell her I'll appear. Outside, thunder rolled. The women tapped into a fierce solidarity. They were no longer prey. They were fighters. That night, as rain lashed the windows, Maya and Grace worked side by side, drafting legal motions and press statements. Each sentence was a brick in the wall they built against Adrian's tyranny. At midnight, Maya paused. She looked at Grace. We know he knows. Grace nodded. Now he'll do anything. Maya's eyes burned with resolve. Then we give him nothing he can use. And in the darkness, their strategy crystallized. A blazing beacon of justice against a storm of fear. Kelsey's small apartment smelled of lavender and fear. Maya and Grace sat on a thrifted couch, facing her across a low coffee table piled with notebooks. Kelsey twisted a tissue, voice hoarse. I thought I was special, Kelsey whispered. He wooed me before he met Grace. I was 24 and naive. We dated 6 months. Grace exchanged a glance with Maya. What happened? Kelsey's eyes filled. I got pregnant. I was so happy. Then Adrian said it would ruin his future. He gave me money, $50,000, if I signed an NDA. He said if I spoke, he'd destroy my career, my family. Maya's fists clenched. Did you take it? Kelsey nodded, tears falling. I thought I was protecting myself. He gave me the check, then disappeared. I never heard from him again. Grace's lips trembled. He used you. Filmed you, like the others. Kelsey swallowed. I have a drawer full of his messages. Threats, apologies, excuses. She opened her purse and produced a folder of printed texts. Maya took it, skimming messages. You owe me silence. Remember what I can do. We had something real. Maya's breath caught. This is gold. Grace nodded. We'll authenticate these. Kelsey folded her hands. But there's more. Maya and Grace leaned forward. Kelsey's voice dropped. He said if I talked, he'd reveal a secret about you, Maya. Maya froze. What secret? Kelsey's gaze flickered. Your divorce filings. There was a clause you signed back then. You agreed to keep silent about financial records in exchange for a quiet split. Maya's stomach churned. I never read that clause. Grace's eyes narrowed. He may try to use that against you. Maya's heart thundered. We have to see the actual document. Kelsey nodded. I kept a copy. It's here. She handed a sealed envelope. Maya opened it carefully. Inside was the divorce decree, pages of legalese. She flipped to the confidentiality section. Lines blurred as she read. Party of the first part agrees non-disclosure of marital financial transactions. Grace's voice was quiet. That clause could compromise your case. Maya exhaled, anger spiking. He's always had leverage. Kelsey wiped her eyes. He said it was only a formality. I thought. Her voice cracked. I thought I could trust him. Maya wrapped an arm around Kelsey. You did nothing wrong. Grace sat back. This is complicated. We need legal counsel. Maya stood, resolve hardening. We adapt. We use it. Kelsey blinked. How? Maya paced. That clause was forced. It can be challenged as unconscionable, under duress. Grace added. Our attorney can file a motion to void it. Maya faced Kelsey. Your testimony plus these messages plus the toxicology, plus the flash drive. He's surrounded. Kelsey exhaled, relief mingling with strength. Then let's finish this. Maya took her hand. Together. Grace stood. We'll coordinate statements tomorrow. They left Kelsey's apartment under a silver moon. Each woman carried fresh scars. That clause, that betrayal, but also a shared purpose. To dismantle Adrian's empire of fear, one broken secret at a time. The knock at Maya's door was soft, deliberate. She opened it cautiously to find a woman in her mid-30s. Dark hair tucked under a baseball cap, sunglasses shielding her eyes. Her posture was wary. Maya, the woman asked, voice trembling. Maya's breath caught. Could it be her? Yes. The woman removed her sunglasses. Beneath were eyes haunted by years of silence. I'm Elena, she whispered. Adrian's first wife. Grace emerged from the hallway, hand to her mouth. Maya stepped aside. Elena slipped in, glancing around. I've followed your case from afar, she said, but I couldn't risk contact until now. Maya closed the door. Sit down. Elena settled on the couch, clutching a leather satchel. She unzipped it and revealed a second USB drive and a faded photograph of a smiling young girl. Grace gasped. Maya leaned forward. Her name is Lily, Elena said softly. Our daughter. Maya's eyes widened. You have a child? Elena nodded, tears glistening. I gave her up to protect her. Adrian said he'd ruin both of us. She handed Maya the flash drive. This contains our wedding video, unedited. Maya inserted it. The screen filled with wedding reception footage. Adrian beaming at camera, Elena in white, guests applauding. Then the clip cut to a private moment. Adrian leaning close, whispering in Elena's ear. She shivered. Then the camera drifted to a figure lurking in the corner. Adrian filming without her knowledge. His eyes cold. Elena wiped tears. He recorded me from the first kiss to the honeymoon. He cataloged everything. When I threatened divorce, he sent that footage to my family. I lost custody of Lily. Grace's hand flew to her mouth. This is monstrous. Elena pressed on. He built blackmail into our marriage. I vanished to keep Lily safe. Maya exhaled. We can use this. Elena shook her head. Not yet. He'll retaliate. I've stayed hidden for 5 years. Grace opened her laptop and navigated to a secure folder. We have Kelsey's statements, police reports, toxicology, divorce records, Lydia's drive. If we release this too soon. Elena's eyes darted. Then what? Maya took Elena's hand. We time it. Once we file charges, once we filed the motion to void your divorce NDA, we release this. It proves pattern. He exploited every woman he loved. Elena nodded, hope mingling with fear. And Lily, Maya smiled gently, will help you get custody. Expose him fully. Elena inhaled deeply. I never thought I'd see this day. Grace closed her laptop. We'll need your testimony. Elena squared her shoulders. I'm ready. Maya rose, gathering the flash drive and photos. Welcome back. Outside, dawn broke over the city. Inside, the women, Maya, Grace, Kelsey, Elena, formed a circle of solidarity. Each had scars, each a story of betrayal. Together, they prepared to shatter the web of fear Adrian had spun, one truth at a time. And in that moment, hope blazed brighter than any secret he held. Maya sat in her car outside a nondescript apartment building in a quiet suburb. The address Grace found didn't appear on any social media or public records. No listings for rent. No names on the mailbox. Rain slicked the pavement and dusted the windshield. She checked her phone. 10:47 p.m. Grace would be inside securing the drive's contents, and Kelsey and Elena were on standby for backup. Maya pressed a gloved hand to her chest and reminded herself why she was here. Zoe's file. The folder labeled unknown_2017 contained that chilling still of a body. Except Zoe wasn't dead. Maya slipped through the unlocked side door, heart pounding. The foyer smelled of aged carpet and faint cooking oil. She moved silently up a narrow staircase, guided by the dim light of a single bare bulb. On the second floor, she paused at apartment 2B. A flicker of movement inside, a silhouette behind a curtained window. She knocked softly. Zoe. The door cracked open. A young woman with ash blonde hair tied back stared at her with a mixture of wariness and relief. You know my name, Zoe whispered. Maya offered a tentative smile. We know what happened to you. I'm Maya, and this is my sister Grace. She motioned down the hall. Zoe's eyes flicked toward the door before she stepped aside. Inside, the apartment was a cozy nest, mismatched furniture, stacks of dog-eared books, and pressed flowers in a vase. Zoe closed the door and locked it. How did you find me? She asked, voice trembling. Grace entered, holding the flash drive. Your folder. Zoe_final. We realized the body in that video wasn't dead. It was staged. Zoe's lips parted. Tears brimmed. They said I died. They left me for dead in that room. Her voice cracked. I woke up alone in the hallway. No ID. No phone. They vanished. Maya knelt and took Zoe's hand. He made it look like you were killed to cover his tracks. Zoe's eyes widened. I've been hiding ever since. Changing cities, identities, living in fear. She drew a ragged breath. I never thought anyone would find me. Grace set the drive on the table. We have proof of his pattern. Laura, Tanya, Nina, and you. We're building a case. Zoe's throat bobbed. I want justice. Maya smiled through tears. We all do. Zoe sank onto a threadbare sofa. There were 10 of us. She hesitated. I'm the only one who survived. Grace's eyes glinted. Then you're the key witness. Zoe nodded, resolve hardening her features. Tell me what to do. Maya stood and offered her hand. Zoe took it, rising. The woman who'd lived in shadows for 8 years now stood with purpose. Outside, thunder rumbled. Inside, the sisters and their allies prepared to expose the monster who tried to erase Zoe. And with Zoe among them, his empire of secrecy would finally crumble. Maya and Grace convened at a rented office space the next morning. The room's walls were glass, corporate style, but empty except for a long table for chairs and a whiteboard. Sunlight filtered through blinds, illuminating folders labeled with victim names and legal briefs. Kelsey, Elena, and now Zoe sat around the table, their faces a blend of fear and determination. Grace tapped the whiteboard. In neat handwriting, she outlined Phase 1, evidence validation, bullet points, toxicology report, video files, NDA challenge, victim testimony. Phase 2, legal filings, police report, civil lawsuits, motion to void NDAs. Phase 3, media campaign, press conference, coordinated social posts, survivor support. Maya added notes. Secure witness protection. Coordinate with investigative journalists. Monitor Adrian's movements. Kelsey cleared her throat. We need to support the women emotionally. This is traumatic. Maya nodded. We'll hire a counselor. Zoe spoke, voice steady. I'll connect you with investigators who helped me escape years ago. Elena pulled out a printed map of safe houses. We can move key witnesses if necessary. Grace assigned roles. Maya would oversee legal filings and liaise with attorneys. Grace would handle investigative logistics, safe houses, evidence transfer, digital security. Kelsey would coordinate survivor outreach and counseling. Elena and Zoe would manage victim testimony preparation. Maya exhaled, energy surging. We move at dawn. Zoe will give her statement to Detective Amati. Kelsey signs her affidavit. I'll file the police report before noon. Elena's eyes flicked to Zoe. Are you ready? Zoe clenched her fists. Yes. They broke for coffee. In the small kitchenette, Maya poured strong espresso as rain began to patter against the windows. Kelsey leaned against the counter. It's surreal. We're plotting to bring down a billionaire. Maya handed her a cup. We're doing more than that. We're reclaiming our lives. Kelsey sipped. I believe it. Fears kept me silent for years. She looked up. This is freedom. At noon, Maya met Detective Amati at the precinct. She handed him the flash drive and printouts of the toxicology report. The detective's expression was grave. This is thorough. He nodded. We'll open a full investigation. Back at the office, Grace and Elena scanned news feeds. Adrian's publicist released a statement dismissing rumors as malicious fabrications. Grace scoffed. He's terrified. Maya entered with Kelsey and Zoe. He's spinning. We respond with facts. She opened her laptop. Press conference at 4 p.m. We release a summary, show evidence, then call for support. Zoe tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. It's time people see the real him. Maya smiled. And hear from those he hurt. The sisters and their allies gathered around the table. 5 women linked by betrayal, now united by solidarity. Outside, the storm raged. Inside, a plan was born. Each knew the risks, legal threats, personal danger, public scrutiny. But together, they had courage. As the clock hand swept toward 4, they steeled themselves. The world would watch, and Adrian's empire of fear would crumble under the weight of truth. At precisely 4 p.m., a small crowd of reporters assembled outside the courthouse steps. Cameras whirred, microphones hovered. Maya stood at the podium flanked by Grace, Kelsey, Elena, and Zoe, all dressed in black suits that spoke of unity and resolve. Maya adjusted the microphone and took a deep breath. Thank you all for coming, she began, voice steady. Today we stand united to present evidence of a decade-long pattern of abuse, exploitation, and cover-up. She held up the flash drive. This contains 10 recorded incidents, plus documents showing non-disclosure agreements, settlement payments, and corporate records used to facilitate these crimes. She distributed printed folders to journalists in the front row. Inside you'll find toxicology reports, victim statements, original NDA contracts with forced confidentiality clauses, and proof of payments traced to corporate accounts. Cameras zoomed in as Maya laid key documents on a clear lectern. A reporter called out, Ms. Maya, what do you hope to achieve? Maya looked at her allies. Kelsey held a folder labeled Messages. Elena displayed the wedding footage screen grab. Zoe held a photo of the stage body. Maya's gaze returned to the mic. We demand a full criminal investigation, public accountability, and the reinstatement of all women wrongfully harmed and silenced. This system enabled him. Now it must dismantle him. Grace stepped forward and spoke. My sister's name was almost erased. My friend Kelsey was threatened with ruin. Elena disappeared to protect her daughter. Zoe was declared dead. Today, we reclaim our stories. She held aloft the divorce NDA, with the clause redacted. This was forced under duress. We are filing a motion to void every agreement obtained through coercion. Elena and Kelsey recounted their experiences briefly, while Zoe described her escape and survival. Reporters scribbled and snapped photos. Maya concluded, "We are not alone. If you have evidence, contact us. We will stand with you." She closed her folder. "We will not be afraid anymore." After the briefing, lawyers helped them file a police report and civil lawsuit documents. The courthouse's marble floors echoed with confidence as they signed affidavits. Their legal team loaded boxes of physical evidence, hard drives, paper trails, into cars bound for the district attorney's office. That evening, the story dominated the headlines. Social media exploded with hashtag #ExposeAdrian. Commenters called for resignations, boycotts of his companies, and support for the survivors. Maya's phone buzzed nonstop with messages of solidarity. Yet, beneath the triumph lay tension. Grace noticed 2 black SUVs parked across the street, headlights blinking. She sent Maya a quick text, "Potential surveillance." Maya read it and slipped her phone into her pocket. Later, safe in their command center, the rented office, they reviewed the day's fallout. Legal counsel reported that the DA had opened a case. Media outlets requested interviews. The women exchanged cautious smiles. But as midnight approached, a quiet alert from Zoe's tracker showed Adrian's private plane taking off. He was on the move. Grace tapped the map on her laptop. He's heading to a private island. Maya exhaled. He's fleeing. They gathered around, resolve sharpened. The documents were unleashed. The world was watching. And tomorrow, Adrian would find there was nowhere to hide. At dawn, Maya's phone lit up with notifications. A YouTube alert. Full evidence video. 2M views. She tapped it. A polished 10-minute compilation showed selected clips from the flash drive. Acts of seduction, voice threats, the staged body, toxicology summaries, and interviews with Maya, Kelsey, Elena, and Zoe. Each segment was intercut with headlines and on-screen statistics of payments traced to shell companies. Comments poured in by the thousands. Unbelievable. He needs to go to jail. Thank you for your courage. Hashtag #ExposeAdrian trending. The hashtag flared across Twitter and TikTok. Hashtag #ExposeAdrian at #1 in the US, UK, and Nigeria. Maya scrolled through replies. Survivors sharing stories. Journalists praising their bravery. Corporations announcing severance of partnerships with Adrian's firms. Grace burst into Maya's living room, clutching her tablet. Lagos TV wants an exclusive. She pointed at a pop-up. Prime Minister calls for inquiry. Maya blinked. This is global. They convened their team via video conference. 5 faces, resolute, filled the screen. Their communications director reported. Major networks are picking this up. Parliament members are demanding answers. Calls for him to step down as board chair at 3 major companies. Legal counsel warned. His lawyers will try an emergency injunction. We need to prepare our response. Kelsey nodded, throat tight. He'll be desperate. Elena added. We've confirmed he's still on that private island. Maya tapped her pen against the table. Then we accelerate legal action. Tomorrow we'll file for an international arrest warrant. Grace chimed in. And coordinate with Interpol. Meanwhile, social media activists organized a solidarity rally outside Adrian's London mansion. News outlets live-streamed interviews with survivors holding placards. He built on betrayal. By midday, Maya joined a CNN panel via satellite, speaking calmly about the courage of survivors and the need to transform corporate cultures that protect abusers. Her measured composure won praise. The clip quickly went viral. That afternoon, a major airline severed sponsorship of Adrian's tech conference. A luxury brand dropped him as ambassador. His portfolio lost billions in market value within hours. But as the world's attention turned to dismantling his empire, Grace noticed something. Behind the trending news, Faint chatter from private forums. Plans to discredit Maya. Evidence of hacked accounts, doctored emails, deepfake videos. She alerted Maya. Adrian's firing back online. Maya's brow furrowed. We expected it. She addressed their communications team. Issue a statement condemning disinformation. We have the originals and timestamps. Expose the fakes. Throughout the evening, the news cycle spun faster. Official statements from governments, nonprofits rallying to #BeliefSurvivors, survivors' networks offering support. Yet beneath the triumph was a hum of threats. As night fell, Maya stepped onto her balcony and looked at the city lights. Her phone buzzed again. A secure message from Zoe. I'm ready to testify internationally. Maya tapped back. Thank you. We're almost there. Below, the city thrummed with life. Everywhere she looked, people demanded justice. And though Adrian still lurked on his island, cut off and cornered, his fortress of fear had collapsed. Because when truth goes viral, empires built on lies cannot survive. In the dimly lit control room of an international airport lounge, Maya, Grace, and their legal team watched live flight data on a large screen. Adrian's name appeared on a private jet manifest, seated in first class. Next to him was Kelsey's name. Maya's heart lurched. No, Maya whispered. He's taken her. Grace snapped her fingers. He couldn't harm her physically without witnesses. He must be using her as leverage. They immediately alerted Interpol and airport security. A red notice was issued for Adrian, and a missing person alert for Kelsey. Meanwhile, on the jet, Kelsey sat strapped in, pale as porcelain, phone in hand but with no signal. Adrian's voice was calm but menacing. You're my bargaining chip, Kels. Kelsey's eyes welled. Let her go. He laughed softly. Without you, there's no case. Think of it as a negotiation. He withdrew his phone and swiped through trending hashtags. #ExposeAdrian. #Justice for Maya. #MeTooGames. His face twisted. Back in Lagos, Maya and Grace mobilized. They contacted U.S. and European authorities. Grace dialed Zoe, who was boarding a plane to London for testimony. Zoe, I need you to slow down that flight, Grace urged. They've diverted the jet to a private airstrip in Corsica. Zoe's voice cracked. On my way. Maya paced the control room. We file an emergency restraining order. We notify the Corsican police. Grace added, and notify French intelligence. He can't hide. In flight, Adrian peered at the runway below, then looked at Kelsey. Smile for me. He tapped her phone. We'll be in touch. Kelsey's voice shook. What do you want? He laid out terms. Drop all charges. NDA reactivation, public apology. Then I'll let her go, he said, nodding toward the closed cabin door. Kelsey's mind raced. She knew the public would never believe an apology. She and the others had testimonies. So she feigned deliberation. Let me think. Back on the ground, Zoe's flight descended into London's Heathrow. She sprinted to her luggage carousel and grabbed her bag, then dashed to a taxi. Go, she instructed the driver. At Lagos Airport, Maya and Grace boarded a flight bound for Corsica's economic capital, Ajaccio. They coordinated with French authorities via encrypted channels. Interpol had issued an APB. Above the Mediterranean, the private jet turned toward a secluded estate on the coast. Lights twinkled in the approaching dusk. Maya's plane touched down in Ajaccio. She and Grace disembarked, joined by two plainclothes French detectives. They drove along winding roads toward the estate. The air smelled of salt and pine. Inside the villa, Adrian stood on a balcony overlooking the sea, Kelsey beside him. Her eyes met Maya's as they arrived through the gates. Maya stepped forward. Let her go. Adrian's gaze hardened. You made me choose. Grace drew closer. You lost everything. Policemen in dark jackets emerged behind Maya. Sir, you are under arrest, one said. Adrian's jaw clenched. He glanced at Kelsey. She nodded imperceptibly, then stepped back. Adrian raised his hands. Kelsey exhaled, relief flooding her face. As detectives cuffed him, Maya approached Kelsey and took her hand. You're safe. Kelsey's tears fell. Thank you. Adrian glared at Maya, rage and defeat in his eyes. On the coastal lawn, under a lavender sunset, Maya and Grace embraced their survivor ally. Together, they watched law enforcement lead Adrian away. A man who'd built his life on fear, now led into chains. And as Kelsey stood beside them, free at last, Maya whispered, "This is only the beginning of our healing." The Mediterranean breeze carried their promise. Justice would prevail. Maya sat hunched over her laptop, in the cramped command center the team had rigged inside an empty warehouse. Rain pounded the corrugated steel roof as she traced a blinking dot on the digital map. "That's Kelsey's tracker," she whispered. The fitness bracelet she'd given Kelsey for her birthday still pinged its coordinates every 5 minutes. They'd assumed Adrian snatched her phone, unaware the bracelet used a separate cellular transmitter. Now the signal guided them to a remote patch of forest 3 hours north. Grace stood beside her, tense. "They're in the Dolomites region," she said, voice low. She tapped her phone, launching a satellite overlay. Cabin at 45.3421 degrees north, 7.6447 degrees east. A tiny blue icon hovered near a cluster of trees on the screen. Maya exhaled. "That's our target." They assembled the rescue team in silence. 2 detectives who'd flown in from Interpol, Zoe to provide moral support, and Elena to handle any medical emergencies. Maya handed out ear protection, walkie-talkies, and flashlights. "We go in fast. Keep to the tree line. Avoid the road," she instructed. Grace loaded her legally obtained service pistol as Detective Amati checked his shotgun. "In and out," Maya reiterated. "No mistakes." At sunset, their unmarked van crawled along a gravel logging road. Headlights cut through swirling fog. Kelsey's tracker blinked. 200 meters. Zoe sat next to Maya, eyes fixed on her screen. "She's weak," Zoe murmured. Last ping showed low battery. Maya's jaw tightened. "Good. Less chance of a chase." They parked behind a fallen pine and switched off engines. The team split into 2 units. Grace and Detective Amati would flank from the left. Maya, Zoe, and Elena would circle from the right. At 8:17 p.m., Maya gave the signal. Headlamps off. They crept through knee-high ferns, the only sound their shallow breaths and crackle of wet leaves underfoot. At the clearing's edge, they halted. Ahead, a solitary A-frame cabin sat on stilts above a rocky stream. Its single window glowed faintly amber. From inside, muffled sobs drifted through the mist. They moved like ghosts. Grace raised her hand. Amati nodded and covered the front door. Maya edged toward the back. Elena whispered into her radio. "ETA to breach, 2 minutes." The cabin's occupants didn't know they were surrounded. Through a side window, Maya spotted Kelsey's silhouette, bound to a chair, face bruised but unmistakable, and Adrian pacing behind her, phone to his ear, oblivious. Maya swallowed hard. This was it. Grace tapped her pistol lightly against her leg. "On your mark," Amati said. Maya's heart pounded. She pressed the radio button. Now, the night erupted. Amati's shotgun cracked against the wooden door. Grace kicked the front entrance open, and Maya smashed the back window. Glass rained as they poured in. Adrian spun around, eyes wild. "No," he screamed, dropping the phone. Kelsey's head jerked up at the chaos. Grace and Amati tackled Adrian to the floor. Elena rushed to Kelsey's side, untying the ropes. Maya stood over Adrian, thigh trembling, flashlight illuminating his panic-stricken face. The GPS in Kelsey's bracelet had led them here, and now Adrian's reign of terror was crumbling. The cabin's interior buzzed with adrenaline. Grace knelt beside Kelsey while Detective Amati cuffed Adrian behind his back. Kelsey pressed her hand to her temple, tears trailing down bruised cheeks. "You're safe," Grace whispered. Maya shone her flashlight on Adrian's face, every inch of him marked by defiance. His breathing was ragged. Adrian spat violently. "You think this ends here?" His eyes darted around the small room as he struggled against the handcuffs. "You have no idea what I'm capable of." Maya stepped forward, anger and pity warring in her chest. "We know everything," she said, voice cold. "The recordings, the blackmail, the threats. It's over." Adrian's lips curled. "It's never over." He glanced at Kelsey, who leaned back against the sofa, trembling. If I go down, she goes down with me. He jerked his head toward her, and she flinched. Grace's hand tightened on her service pistol. Amadi trained his shotgun on Adrian's head. Stay away, Maya warned. We will protect her. Adrian lunged forward, roaring. He jerked his head back, jaw clenching. You won't. A gunshot echoed. Time slowed. Maya saw Grace's arm rise and heard the metallic click of her pistol. The blast ripped through the cabin, splintering drywall. Grace's eyes widened with horror as Adrian pitched forward, collapsing onto the threadbare rug. Kelsey screamed, scrambling away as blood blossomed across Adrian's chest. Maya plunged to her knees beside him, heart pounding. Adrian, she hissed, checking for a pulse. Grace covered her mouth to stifle a cry. Amadi knelt too, pulling Adrian's shirt aside. He's hit, lung or heart, he muttered. Adrian's hand convulsed on the floor. He looked up at Grace, confusion and pain mingling in his eyes. You said you'd protect her, he whispered. Grace shook, voice choked. I did. She knelt and held his hand. This is because of what you did. Adrian coughed blood, eyes glazing. She's pregnant. His voice cracked. Maya's breath caught. Kelsey's head whipped toward the sound. Grace's face drained of color. Kelsey, she whispered. Adrian's hand spasmed, then went limp. Amadi closed his eyes. He's gone. Silence engulfed the cabin. Kelsey's sobs filled the void as Maya turned away, fighting tears. Grace's pistol clattered to the floor. Blood pooled beneath Adrian's body, a dark echo of all the lives he'd shattered. Elena and Zoe embraced Kelsey as she wept. Maya stared at Adrian's still form, numb. The confrontation had ended in fatal tragedy. Grace sank to her knees, head in her hands. Maya moved to her sister's side and wrapped her arms around her. It's done, she murmured. No more fear. Grace trembled, voice muffled into Maya's coat. I didn't want him dead. Maya stroked her hair. He would have killed her. We stopped him. Outside, the wind howled through shattered windows. Inside, the sisters, scarred, shaken, gazed at the consequences of justice served with gunfire. Kelsey lay on a makeshift cot in a nearby medical tent, wrapped in blankets. The acrid smell of antiseptic lingered as Elena handed her a warm mug of tea. Zoe knelt by her side, brushing a damp curl from her forehead. Maya and Grace stood at the tent's entrance, consulting quietly with detectives Amadi and DuPont. Kelsey sipped the tea, trembling. Is he gone? She asked, voice small. Maya knelt beside her. He's gone. She reached for Kelsey's hand. I'm so sorry. Kelsey's eyes glistened with tears. All those women. And now this baby. She placed a hand over her abdomen, where she felt the faintest stir of life. I don't know what to do. Elena cleared her throat gently. It's your body, your choice. You don't owe anyone an explanation. Kelsey closed her eyes. Months ago, she'd believed her life was over the moment Adrian grabbed her. Now Adrian was dead, but she still carried his child, a living reminder of his violence and her trauma. Grace entered with a thick envelope. Your legal counsel wants to talk about options, continuing the pregnancy, termination, adoption. She hesitated. There's no rush. Kelsey stared at her hands. I never planned to be a mother this way. Her lip quivered, but I feel her move sometimes like a tiny heartbeat. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She's innocent. She doesn't deserve to die because of him. Maya swallowed, heart softening. If you want to keep her, we'll support you. We'll get you counseling, medical care, everything you need. Kelsey nodded slowly. I think I want to try. She met Maya's gaze. But I'm terrified. Zoe spoke up gentle. You're not alone. We can share our experiences, the fear, the anger, the strength it takes to move forward. Kelsey drew in a shaky breath. I want to tell her story someday, that she came into the world despite his darkness. She smiled weakly. That's my choice. Maya squeezed her hand. We'll help you build a life for her. She'll know she's loved. Grace knelt and touched Kelsey's shoulder. We'll be here for every step. Across the field outside, the wind rustled the corners of the medical tent. Inside, Kelsey's tears slowed, replaced by a fragile determination. The bullet that ended Adrian's life had also, in some way, given Kelsey a choice she never thought she'd have. Hours later, Maya updated the legal team. Kelsey will keep the baby. We'll set up trust funds, guardianship, everything. She glanced at her sister. She's chosen life. Grace smiled, relief in her eyes. Then let's make sure it's the best life possible. Kelsey lay back, exhausted but resolute. As night deepened outside, the survivors in the tent whispered plans for a future they never imagined. A future defined by hope, not fear. News of Adrian's death spread like wildfire. By dawn, headlines across every continent proclaimed the fall of a once untouchable magnate. Billionaire dead in remote standoff, blared one banner. Empire crumbles after hostage rescue, read another. Within hours, the ripple effects reached the financial markets. Stocks in Adrian's conglomerate plunged 50% by opening bell. Major sponsors, automotive brands, tech firms, luxury houses, scrambled to distance themselves. Press releases poured in. We condemn his actions. Victims come first. All ties severed. Even governmental bodies issued statements. Review of regulations to prevent corporate abuse. Maya stood in the operations room, surrounded by live feeds of global news. Grace joined her, coffee in hand. It's unbelievable, Grace murmured. Every network, every paper, he's a pariah. Maya nodded. Hundreds of companies are filing for their own investigations. Philanthropic foundations tied to him have returned millions in donations. She tapped a touchscreen displaying the hashtag #ExposeAdrian feed. Millions of tweets, posts, comments of outrage and support for survivors. Elena entered with a stack of legal documents. International courts are opening cases, she said. Civil suits alone could bankrupt his holding company. Zoe followed, carrying printed interviews from survivors around the world, stories of betrayal that once lay buried. Grace leaned back. His board is in chaos. They've appointed an interim CEO to keep the lights on, but it's just damage control. Maya exhaled. That's the power of transparency. She pulled up a news clip. A senator calling for new laws on corporate accountability and digital privacy protections. Legislation is already in motion. In Lagos, a candlelight vigil was held for the victims. Hundreds gathered, holding photographs of women, Laura, Tanya, Nina, Zoe, honoring their courage. Maya and Grace joined, speaking to local media about the importance of speaking out. That afternoon, Maya received a letter from Kelsey's attorneys. Guardianship papers, trust establishment details, and requests for personal testimony before a special tribunal on abuse of power. Maya scheduled her appearance. Meanwhile, major universities canceled lectures he had been slated to deliver. Conference organizers removed his name from billboards. Streaming platforms pulled documentaries he had funded. His cultural footprint vanished within 24 hours. That evening, Maya and Grace met with representatives of a global survivors network. They agreed to establish a nonprofit coalition, the Unity Foundation, to support victims of corporate and intimate partner abuse. They drafted bylaws, mission statements, and fundraising plans. As the sun set, the city lights gleamed against the night sky. Maya reflected on the weeks since the anniversary party. In that span of time, fear had exploded into fury. Secrets had ignited a movement, and a hidden empire of abuse had collapsed under collective outrage. Grace caught her sister's gaze. We did it. Maya smiled, tired but triumphant. We gave the world a chance to turn against cruelty. Outside, the wind carried the distant hum of celebrations and protests. Proof that when the world turns against injustice, change can be swift and irreversible. Sunlight streamed through the courtroom's tall windows as Grace signed the final divorce decree, her signature crisp on the parchment. Adrian's name was crossed out, severed permanently. Maya sat beside her, hand clasping Grace's in quiet solidarity. It was official. The marriage built on fear was over. Outside the courthouse steps, cameras clicked and reporters asked for statements. Grace took a breath and stepped forward. Today, I reclaim my life, she announced, voice steady. I thank my sister Maya and every survivor who stood by me. Family isn't blood, it's who fights for you. Maya followed, smile bright. We honor this victory by helping others. Our new organization, the Unity Foundation, will launch next month to support survivors of abuse and exploitation worldwide. Flashbulbs popped as her words echoed in the crisp morning air. That afternoon, Maya entered the small office space, where she'd pored over evidence for weeks. She flipped the open sign and sat at her desk, papers neatly stacked. Grant proposals, counseling referrals, partnership agreements. She typed out an email to potential donors, describing the foundation's mission: legal aid, emergency housing, mental health services. Her phone pinged. It was Grace. Coffee. Maya grinned and headed downstairs. In the cafe where their journey had pivoted, the sisters reunited over lattes. Grace cradled her cup, gaze soft. How's the nonprofit shaping up? Maya exhaled happily. We've got pro bono lawyers, 3 therapists, and partnerships in 5 countries. We'll open our first safe house next week. She paused. It feels good. Grace smiled, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. We've healed so much. Maya nodded. We both have scars. She tilted her latte up. To scars and strength. They clinked mugs. Later that evening, back home, Maya's inbox chimed one final time. She opened an encrypted message with a subject line. I know what you did to Adrian. Maya's heart fluttered. She clicked it open. Inside was a single sentence, and I'm next. Her breath caught. She scrolled down, an attachment icon. She hesitated, then downloaded it. A photo appeared, a file named opinioneditorial_Dr. It showed medical records from Dr. Ease's clinic, his own confidential patient files. Adrian had kept them among his blackmail troves. Maya's stomach twisted. He planned further misuse. She sat back, mind racing. Grace found her in the doorway. Everything okay? Maya looked up, eyes shining. He wasn't done, but neither are we. Grace closed the distance and placed a hand on Maya's shoulder. Whatever comes next, we face it together. Maya exhaled determination. Together. As dusk settled, the sisters stood side by side, aware that healing was ongoing and vigilance never ended. Their world had changed, scarred by betrayal, strengthened by solidarity. And as they launched into the next chapter of their lives, they carried hope. That every scar told a story of survival, and every new beginning was worth fighting for. I hope you enjoyed this story. Please like, comment, and share. Also turn on the bell to get more of our videos. See you in the next story.